All right, let me turn this mic up and turn this music down. Uh-oh, I missed a button. Let's try this now. There we go. Starting now. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope you're planning on having a great weekend. I know I am, because I'm just going to be chilling with my wife, my mother who's still in town, our friend Kay. We're going to go sit on a boat on a lake somewhere. So anyway, that's enough about me. How about you? What do you got planned this weekend? I hope you got something cool to do. If not, if you got a day off, I'm telling you, just go to another town, a nearby town, and go find out what's cool in it. That's my biggest thing. Go somewhere away from your normal grind, and you will feel like you went on vacation. But anyway, that's not what we're going to talk about here today. We're going to talk about why me and so many black people are doomed for all eternity because of a little decision that came down in the courts. Why is this so damn? Oh, I see. That's just my headset. Anyway, are you ready? Shall we do this thing on Funky Friday on the Morning Night Live? Because it is Funky Friday. Well, I think we shall. Johnny, would you do me the honors of playing the intro now, please? Whoa, that was abrupt.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Yeah, stop the music. Oh, that music stopped so fast now. I wonder if it's supposed to do that. That's weird. Hello, everybody. Let's put some other music on. Because it's Funky Friday. We'll have a little background music for at least a little bit here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. And welcome to Funky Friday on the P-Dog Knight channel this 30th of June, 2023. You like that groove? I kind of like that. But all good things must come to an end. Cut the music. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm having a good day so far. Just think ahead to a day away from all of this. We have had such a busy couple weeks that the time to relax is now upon us. Plus, we're coming up on Independence Day, 4th of July. So technically, this is the 4th of July weekend, even though the holiday, it's on Tuesday for those of us in the States. So I know a lot of people are getting their 4th of July on this weekend. Probably going to go set off some fireworks or watch a fireworks show or do some parade or whatever, because I think most places are probably doing them over the weekend or maybe even Monday night or whatever, since the 4th is on a Tuesday. You know how people stretch out their vacations based on when a single day holiday comes. I know a lot of people take the day after Thanksgiving off. Well, when the 4th of July is on Tuesday, a lot of people in the States will take Monday off, so they can have Monday, Tuesday, and maybe even Wednesday, so they can, do a little of that imbibing thing. And so whatever you got planned, I hope it's you got something good going on. So let's go ahead and just start. I want to say good morning to everybody like I normally do, and then we'll get into the stuff, because oh boy, today is all affirmative action day, although I do have a couple other things open just in case I get through this quickly, but I don't know if I will or not, because I've got a lot to say about this, and I don't know if my opinions match those of my brethren of the melanated variety. At least even some of the conservative brethren, I might have a little bit different take. Maybe not. I think we're focusing on the wrong thing. And I'll tell you why after I say good morning to everybody. First in the chat over on Rumble is Mike Savage. Blarg gets the bell. Also, good morning, Advocatus Diabli. Next Gen Troll, and Tall Person. Glad to have you over there on the Rumble side of the ledger. Remember, make sure you are following follow me on Rumble just in case I say the wrong thing and YouTube says yeet, get out, Oh, I forgot Greta Thunberg is trending. Oh no, Rachel Dolezal is trending too. I wonder why that is. Anyway, let's say hi to people on YouTube. First in chat on YouTube, Aaron Meredith gets the bell. Nicely done. Also, good morning, Trippy Liberty, Chicago Mike Savage, Blarg, Shady Grins in the house, Molly Mags, Advocatus Diabli, Fake News Expert, Lord Stanhope, and Somdom Bull Nation. Also, good morning to Clandestine. Nice to have you back. Good morning. A whole lot of people who can't get into Harvard are super concerned about who can get into Harvard. Isn't that the truth? We're going to talk about that because it's so weird. It is so weird. Thank you for saying that. That's where I'm at right now too. Good morning, Willett Forge. Hello. Good morning, Simon Wolfwood. Tall Person's also over on YouTube. Tyrannus, Alexandrius, the Invictus Bitch. Was that just my headphones or was that really loud? I don't know, but you get the hello, Tyre Alexander. Also, good morning to my favorite Canadian, Jaeger Ponies in the house. Nice to see you. Is that everybody? Am I close? Reaction Puerto Rico. You lovely on it. Good morning to you, sir. You get one of these. And also, hello, Hig and Retro, veteran gamer. I think that's everybody. I'm getting there. Okay, so anyway. So, obviously the big topic of the day is this affirmative action thing. Now, I did, in my thumbnail today, let's go to this. I'll show you the thumbnail. In my thumbnail today, as you can see, I posted this tweet. Now, let me stop you before you get it. I'm gonna read it, but I'm going to tell you right now. I'm pretty sure it's just a troll, a fake, a exaggeration. This is not something that this person believes. However, I have a caveat after we read it because this tweet, a lot of people took kind of seriously because it's kind of in some ways, it's the way liberals think, even though they won't say they don't say they think this way. Many of them do, and you can read it into some of the things they say. So that if you're not watching the screen right now, it's a tweet by someone named Erica Marsh. Erica Report is their @ and it says, today's Supreme Court decision is a direct attack on black people. No black person will be able to succeed in a merit-based system, which is exactly why affirmative action-based programs were needed. Today's decision is a travesty. Now, this has generated, oh my goodness, a great deal of talk, lots of quote tweets, lots of whatever. And look, this is not, at least my opinion is, it's not real. But is it something that many liberals believe without saying it out loud? There's an interesting underlying premise with affirmative action. One of them is, yes, you're trying to help people who have been disadvantaged, held down, whatever, right? But the other underlying factor that some people, even though they don't say it precisely, is that we black folks are all the same and none of us could get ahead if it weren't for affirmative action. And that is just not the case in my experience. Now, granted, my experience is not the same as every other black person's experience. But there's an interesting thing about black people that when they start talking about affirmative action plans like this, is that they all have the premise that all black people are poor and all black people are downtrodden and all black people can't do anything and they're just not going to get a chance even if they're smart, even if they're great at something, they're not going to get a chance. And we need the white man's burden is that we must be helped by, because to get ahead, and you gotta put some, places aside for us poor black people. And what bothers me the most about this premise, and the one that doesn't get talked about enough, is that, one, all black people aren't the same. There's a lot of smart people out there, a lot of people who talent, a lot of people who do things, a lot of people who have gotten ahead, certainly without affirmative action. And I think about that with, I always bring up the example of when I was growing up. My family had animals. We had pets. Okay, we had a dog, actually 2 dogs. We had a cat. We had a horse, because my sister rode horses. And when you have pets, you have to take them to a veterinarian, or have a veterinarian take care of them. And one of the most prominent veterinarians in Omaha, when I was growing up, when I was a little kid, I was adopted when I was 4. When I was 1968, I was adopted, and we had pets. And then when we moved in 1969 to our house where we lived, my parents lived until they both passed away. We had pets there too, and we had a horse, and all this stuff. And we had our veterinarian, unbelievably very wealthy, prominent veterinarian in town, had an office right on Dodge Street. Dodge Street is the main drag that goes from, basically from the Missouri River all the way through Omaha, all the way out to west, and then it continues out as Highway 6 all the way out into western Nebraska. And he had an office right on Dodge Street, in the middle of town, right near one of the oldest, wealthiest neighborhoods, and everyone in Omaha brought their pets to him. And he was a black man named A.B. Pittman. Okay. And he just happened to go to our church too. And, so A.B. Pittman, veterinarian, became very wealthy. He had, I think he had 5 or 6 vets working for him and a bunch of assistants. He had a nice big old, place there right in the middle of town. And in fact, he was one of the first black people. He was the first black person to, there was a new, when I was a kid, there was this new neighborhood, I shouldn't say new. It was newer. It was New Rich, basically, where they were building these big, giant homes, sure, they're like $2-3 million homes these days, but back then they were probably $500,000 homes, which is unheard of. And he was the first black man to build a home out in that area. Now they gave him shit because this was, back in the 60s, and back then Omaha was fairly geographically, racially segregated, right? And there were a lot of people like, oh, this black man's going to build a house out in this brand new, rich, wealthy, hoity-toity neighborhood, and they didn't want him there, and whatever. So the joke was he built his house, that instead of using siding, his whole house was stone on the outside, because hey, these motherfuckers ain't going to burn down my house. But he was, but he became a veterinarian in 1957 or 56 or something like that, and became super wealthy as a veterinarian, black man. I mean, this is unheard of. And there was no affirmative action back then. You know what else? Also, we had, in fact, one of the other veterinarians that in his practice lived in my neighborhood, lived right up the street. And so when I say, but the myth is that all black people are poor. And right now, yes, there are a higher percentage of black people are in the poverty line than other races in the United States. But we're not all poor. 80% of black people, let me say it again, 80% of black people are in the middle class or higher. Based on, whatever the statistics are. 80%. We're not all poor. We're not all helpless. And so really what happens especially when you're talking about Harvard, and Clandestine brought it up earlier, all these people complaining about who gets into Harvard, who could never make it into Harvard, right? What happens when you take Harvard, for example, and you say, we're not going to allow them to do race-based admissions at Harvard? What it really mostly does, as far as, because right now they were discriminating based on race against Asians. Okay. And of course they would give, black people an extra chance, we could live in Harvard based on their race, whatever. And, but what happens is right now you're basically all you're doing is probably some, middle upper class black kid who has great grades and whatever is the most likely candidate to go into Harvard. Often it's some Nigeria kid. I always laugh because every time I see there's an article in some website or newspaper that says yes, this city kid got accepted to all 8 Ivy League schools, and it's always some Nigerian kid. But anyway, basically what y'all are arguing about is whether or not, probably most likely, this middle class black kid is going to get bumped up into Harvard because he has good grades, but maybe not necessarily as high as some of his Asian counterparts, whether or not he's going to go to Harvard or Michigan State. It's not like you're talking about kids who you drug up from the ghettos of Oakland, that you're deciding whether or not they're going to go to Harvard, because most likely the school that they're in, not a single kid is reading or doing math at a grade level. Okay? And I'm not saying that, I'm not disparaging black kids at all. I'm a black man. I was just one of those smart kids who got into a decent university, right? But, and also, here's the other thing. The crazy thing about this is, well, we'll get into some of the commentary on it today, because there's a whole bunch, oh boy, did people go off on this whole topic on every angle of political persuasion. I don't know why. I don't know why, but all of these people complaining about Harvard over the last day or so, especially on the liberal side, because they're complaining, there's a such thing as legacies, people who, a legacy would be someone whose parents went to Harvard and they get a little bit of preferential treatment, right? In fact, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got dragged yesterday on Twitter because she was complaining that, if you're going to get rid of affirmative action, you should get rid of legacy admissions, because 70% of legacy admissions are white kids. And what she failed to remember when she said 70% of the legacy admissions at Harvard are white kids, that means 30% of those legacy admissions at Harvard are minorities. So you're saying get rid of legacy admissions for those 30% minorities too? Oh, and the other thing is, if you go by the census, 71% of the American population is white. And if 70% of the legacy admissions at Harvard are white kids, they're kind of underrepresented in legacy admissions. Now, granted, when they say white kids, people who are Hispanic put white on their applications mostly. But the whole thing is, it's I'm sorry, hello Swirly, by the way, good morning. And I don't know who else popped in because I didn't have the chat at the bottom of the chat growing. Every person applying for Harvard is from privileged backgrounds regardless of race. For the most part. Yeah, that's just it. Y'all are worried about what's going on at Harvard. None of you getting into Harvard. None of y'all getting into Harvard. And, there's occasional student who's from a low-income place that gets into Harvard. And that's usually, like I said, it's usually some Nigerian or Indian student, whose parents make them study all the time. But anyway. All right, let's get into the topics, and then we'll get back into the Harvard thing. A couple things trending on Twitter today. Oh wait, before I do that, it is, today is the last day of Strong Dad June, And Somnable Nation sent me this little video, and I haven't watched it yet, but I think it's going to be humorous. So we are going to do some videos today if I can. So let me expand this first. Hang on. Okay, so this is a lesson